Welcome back. As a part of this lecture, we'll understand different keys like unique key, alternate key, and composite keys. So first one being unique key. What exactly is a unique key? Unique key is almost like a primary key, but it accepts even the null values. So when we already have a primary key, why do we need unique key? Sometimes we need a key which may accept the null value. And also, if you really see, primary key is more or less for a whole entity. On the other hand, unique key is for the data. So whenever we want a key which need to accept the null value and also have a unique key for the data, we'll go with the unique key. One more important thing about a unique key is it also creates a non-clustered index by default that helps in faster retrieval of the records. Next one being alternate key. Alternate key is like a secondary key. What do you mean by secondary key? In our previous lectures, we understood first we'll come out with the super keys, then we'll come out with the candidate keys. From the candidate keys, we'll choose the primary keys. When we choose the primary key from a candidate keys, some of the other keys will be left, right? They are called as a alternate keys. So only one key is selected as a primary key from the candidate keys. Remaining keys are known as alternate keys. Let us take an example here. Okay, look at this. In this entity or a table, we have ID, name, class, and phone number. This is a table. So from this, we have all these super keys: ID, name, phone, ID and name, ID and phone, so on and so forth. So from this, we'll select these candidate keys: ID, phone, ID, and phone. From this, we'll select a primary key as ID, right? This is our primary key. So left out these two are alternate keys. Next, we'll understand what is composite key. Sometimes it's difficult to have only one column which can identify the records uniquely. That is when composite key comes into picture. Composite key is a special type of the key which is formed by combination of two or more columns in a table. The composite key guarantees the uniqueness only when two or more columns are joined together. If you use only one column, then it will not guarantee the uniqueness. If you combine two columns, then it guarantees the uniqueness. In this example, we have customer ID, order ID, product code, and product count. If you see, only customer ID cannot be a primary key because you see there is a duplication here. As we understood already, primary key cannot have a duplicate. On the other hand, if you want to make product code as a primary key, that also cannot be done. But when you combine the customer ID with the product ID, that can identify the records uniquely. So customer ID and product code together becomes the composite key. Coming to the surrogate key. Are we talking about the surrogate mother here? Not really. We are talking about a artificial key in tables in RDBMS. So what is surrogate key then? Any artificial key which aims to uniquely identify each record is called as a surrogate key. What do you mean by artificial here? Let us say you have a table. There are already columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, which are naturally part of this particular table. So if you identify one of these column and make that as a primary key or a key which can identify the rows uniquely, then it becomes a natural key. Natural key becoming a either primary key or unique key. But when you don't have any of the columns which can identify the records uniquely, that is when we need to have a artificial key which can uniquely identify each record uniquely. So whenever we don't have the natural primary key, that is when we take help of surrogate key. Idea here is, since it is not a natural key, a very important aspect of the surrogate key is to only act as a primary identifier of an object or an entity. So when do we really generate the surrogate key? We generate the surrogate key right before the record is inserted into the table, because we know natural key cannot be a unique identifier. Just before we are inserting the record into a table, we generate the surrogate key and insert a record. Let's take an example here. Assume there are two schools, school 1, that is school A, and we have school B. Because of the COVID situation, since there is a lot of attendance issue in the school A and also in school B, what they have done is both of them are partnering to each other. It's like, assume that school A has been bought over by school B. In that case, we need to combine these data of a school A with a school B, right? Both the schools are capturing registration number, name, percentage in their database. So when they merge together, instead of having multiple tables, we need to have a single table. Then if you bring together these two schools, registration number of one school A is very much different from a registration number on a school B. So that doesn't make sense to have a different ways of representing the unique key. That is when we can resort to a surrogate key, generate a artificial key which identifies the whole record uniquely. Wonderful. Then we understood important keys at a high level. You have a good time. Thank you.